Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jay Lee. This is Jay Lee's Corner, and this is my review for Power Season 4, Episode 3. And, wait, first things first, as always, if you have not done so already, please take a second and subscribe to my channel. It does not cost you anything. All you have to do is hit the little subscribe button and it will let you know when I have new content. And as I say every video, I love new subscribers. So please, if you have not done so already, please subscribe, please subscribe, please subscribe. Thank you very much. So, this episode of Power, I have tried to record this review 3 times right now. It's just so much that happened, and I really hate when my reviews be like 30 minutes long. That's a long goddamn review. But I'm like, it was a long episode, so this is gonna be a while. But I have to be organic in order for my reviews to be work. I can't try to cut and paste shit. I can't do that. So let's just get it started. The episode starts off, we see that they, snatching up Dre and Julio, the prosecutors are, basically to question them because, as we know, Ghost is still in jail. And, when they're all walking into the federal building, you see Julio sees Dre. And then as they're going their separate ways, you see the elevators open and there's Keisha. So they put in Julio, Dre, and Keisha to question them. I'm like, damn, they really, you know what I'm saying? I expected them to also have Tasha. But I'm like, they can't question her because she is the wife. And as we know, spousal privilege goes a long way. And we find out that there is a new attorney on James's case. And the attorney is already rubbing me the wrong way. Solely because the first thing he said was, did you do it? Like, did you really do it? Like, it just came off cocky. As if, I don't care if you did it or not, really. I'm just trying to get my numbers up, or keep my numbers down as far as people getting off for the death penalty. And that's what Proctor says. Like, okay, yeah, we brought in this new guy, and he's just here because he's used to getting people off who are being, are facing the death penalty. But I don't like him. Let me put you on. I don't like that man. And he gets on my nerve already, and it's only been, one episode of him in it. So, the beginning scene jumps around a lot. But I'm not going to do my review based on the episode. I'm just going to go by my notes a little bit. So, they do show Tommy then talking to Tariq. He's dropping the kids off at school, and he's trying to have like a little one-on-one conversation with Tariq. But Tariq is still being the same idiot he's been the whole time. Because he's still saying stuff like, I think my dad did it, because he's a liar. He lied, my mama lied, everybody lying. And I'm just not really about family right now. And Tommy is like, he sees something different. He knows it's not just a typical kid who was frustrated with his parents, but he's not trying to push the issue to where Tariq would shut down and not talk to him. But he did say, yeah, sometimes parents do lie. Your dad lies sometimes too, but he not lying about this. And that's what I like. That's my notes that keep popping up. That's what I like, that Tommy, well, of course Tommy knows Ghost didn't do it, but that Tommy is trying to make Tariq know he didn't do it. Because at the end of the day, Ghost loves his son. His son is a fucking idiot right now. So that goes wherever. But, back to them questioning Dre, Julio, and Keisha. Now, this is one thing I'll say. Dre gets on my damn nerve because Dre is keeping the secret that Kanan is alive. But him being questioned, he had Ghost back. He answered those questions perfectly. When they were asking him stuff like, where you meet him at? What do you know Tommy? How did y'all meet? Did you know? They were asking Dre and Julio these same questions. And they were answering them, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And it was the right things to say. Like, hey, I met him because I work at his club. I was the person who fucked up. He gave me a second chance. Even Julio said I met him working at the Fuff and Flow, the laundromat or whatever. But basically not giving the prosecutor shit to go off of. And I commend, because Dre could have easily been just as stupid as we think he is, because he's still keeping it secret that Kanan is alive. So I'm like, I don't know how savvy he is. I don't know how smart he is. But he was really smart in answering these questions. So it was cool to see that he had Ghost back in this moment. Because if he was really on Kanan's team, he could have, fucked Ghost over and just started stitching like, yeah, he's selling drugs, he murdering people, he doing all kind of shit. But he ain't do that. He was like, James St. Patrick is the kind of person who gives people second chances. And for me, I'm like, that also meant he should know that he's fucking up because he's still lying to Ghost because he ain't told Ghost that Kanan Ads is alive. But that's neither here nor there. So him and Julio, were both on the same page, saying the same things about James St. Patrick. Keisha asked, on the other hand, let me tell you something. They would have had to pry my motherfucking fingers from around Angela's throat. Because had she been talking to me, I'd have fucked that chick up. When I tell you it ain't nothing worse than being in the same room as a bitch who you don't like and who has done dirt to people who you love. Like an Angela took her best friend's husband. I would really be like, let me kill you now and never go to jail later. Because, Angela was just being such a bitch, and the question she was asking her was all about Ghost and Tasha. And come to find out, she was asking these questions trying to prove that Ghost and Angela were not operating as a married couple. But of course, Keisha didn't know that. So even though Keisha was giving simple answers and she was agreeing with Angela, thinking that she's not telling Angela anything that she don't know, she was unknowingly telling Angela things that she needed to know to prove her point. Sometimes it's not about agreeing with somebody and not giving them more information, but confirming what they already know. I would have been like, first of all, if I'm not arrested, let me go. And two, if I have to answer questions, then where's my lawyer? But, she didn't do that. Even though Angela then said to her, you haven't done anything wrong and you seem to be innocent. So as long as you cooperate, you'll be okay. Man, look, I would get arrested that day. Because me and Angela would have been scrapping. I'm telling you, by now, me and Angela would have had at least 2 fucking fist fights, okay? One fist fight for fucking my man's husband, and a second fist fight for arresting my man's husband. The first fist fight would be arresting my best friend's husband, and the second one would have been for fucking my best friend's husband. It would have been 2 fist fights between me and that bitch, and I would have came out on top. But that's neither here nor there. We do see Keisha, Tasha, Proctor, and the new black attorney all having a conversation, and Keisha's saying, well, I didn't say anything, I just said what she already knew. Again, she didn't know they were trying to get spousal privilege thrown out if they can prove that Tasha and Ghost were not operating as a couple. And it makes her feel kind of bad that she unknowingly helped them in some kind of way. But it also scared the shit out of her because she still think that if push come to shove, Tasha would sell her and Tommy out to save herself and the kids. That don't say a lot about her friendship with Tasha, but that's neither here nor there. But we do see that Angela in some way is making Tasha her next target. So, next scene over, we see, when I saw them go back to the prison scene and they show the old white guy, who I'm just going to call this right now, I think he's Tommy's dad. He's either Tommy's dad, maybe Tommy's long lost uncle, he could be Tommy's mom's sister, because when he said Egan and he knew the name, I'm just going to call it. That's where it looks like that whole thing is going. He's going to be involved in some sort of way. Plus, when they kept on saying stuff like how his wife couldn't give him kids, I'm like, he must have cheated on his wife with Tommy's mom, and Tommy's really his son. So if they really go that route, I would be pissed off, but that is so predictable. It's just too predictable. But anywho, he gets these noodles and he is able to get a goddamn phone out the noodles. I'm just like, who's the damn noodle company? Is that how they sneak phones in through damn noodles? That part to me was funny. But he makes the phone call to where he finds out different things about Tommy, and that Tommy, you know, he gets the background on Tommy, how he used to run drugs when he was younger, hanging out with, you know, some kid called Ghost, and, you know, he's into drugs now, and the old man kind of puts two and two together and assumes that James St. Patrick is Ghost. And then he proceeds to blackmail Ghost for 20 grand per week, I think he said. And if Ghost doesn't do it, he's going to tell the prosecutors what he knows about them. But he don't know shit. It's all kind of speculation. But Ghost being Ghost, he just kind of agrees. Instead of doing what his lawyer told him to do, which was be a typical club owner. You don't know nothing about nothing. Don't you do it. But Ghost always shows who he really is. They do show the prosecutors all having conversations about them questioning, you know, Julio, Dre, and Keisha, and they're saying how they basically did not get anything. But Angela, monkey ass, did say how she thinks she can break spousal privilege based on her conversation with Keisha. And what made me mad about that is because in one breath she said that, and then when John, the Asian prosecutor, and I'm calling him Asian not because I'm racist, but because he's Asian, and I don't know if that's his real name, so don't judge me. But, you know, she says that in one breath, and then when John says, okay, let's go with that, and then she's like, but wait, if we do that, are we going to really prosecute her? Because we know she's not going to want to testify, and if we prosecute her, her kids will go to, like, foster care, and they will be in the system. You know, is that what we are about? You wasn't saying that when you was fucking their daddy. You wasn't saying that when you were making their parents split up. You also wasn't saying that when you arrested their father. So why are you... I hate that she gets a conscience when she wants to get a conscience, but when it's too late because she's already opened Pandora's box and it's shit finna fall out all on the floor. You should have thought about that before you brought up spousal privilege, period. You either gonna be a bitch and let us hate you, or work to get Ghost out. But you can't do both. You can't. Because, I mean, it's just stupid. You get on our damn nerve. But then what made me even more mad when John asked her, well, you know him. Do you really think he did it? And the bitch said yes. And by her saying yes, they're like, okay, we'll go get the wife. You know, go, you know, build a case against her so that we can question her. And if she don't do it, we gonna prosecute her. And the fucking kid just gonna go into foster care or whatever, or into the system. You dirty white bitch, you. And I'm sorry to say white. I'm trying not to be racial. But you dirty bitch. Like, you couldn't just say, I don't know. You couldn't just say, I never thought he was capable of... Oh my god, my TV just scared the crap out of me because it's just on pause and I had the TV on pause. That is hilarious because I'm not watching, but power was on and it that was funny. But yeah. So it's her saying yes that she thinks he did it. And I really think she know he didn't. She think he did only because she's mad. And that's what makes me the most upset. But whatever. What's next? Oh, James talking to the lawyers, and they're asking about, you know, is there any way to explain how your DNA got under his hands, under Greg's nails, if you didn't kill him? And he's telling them what happened, you know, how he was at the restaurant, he left the restaurant, he did break into the apartment, you know, but he didn't kill him. And the only other time he was around him was when Greg put him over. And they're like, what? And he's like, yeah, I told Angela that, you know, he put me over. I told her the next day. What? Angela knew? You know, she didn't say anything? And they then realize this could be the way to get the DNA evidence thrown out. Because if there's footage of them two interacting when he was alive and he's putting his hands on him, you can't then say the only time that they were around each other was when he was being murdered. So they're trying to get that piece of evidence, you know, that piece of footage or a traffic camera or something to prove that Knox put James over and they had that incident. They show them talking to an old character, Bailey. I remembered the guy when I saw his face, but I could not remember his name for nothing. I had to keep rewinding and fast forwarding and Googling, and I could not think of this guy's name. But he was working with Knox before. He's more upset because they think that Greg was the mole, and he knows Greg was not the mole. And he's like, y'all still running this bullshit that he was the mole. He thought Angela was the mole. Matter of fact, that's what he told me the night he died, that he had proof that it was Angela. And he even called you Sandoval. What did he say when he called you? And Sandoval, as always, looked flabbergasted because he's trying to protect his own ass. And, but he tells them, look, I'll only help y'all if y'all open the case back up against the mole because it wasn't Greg. I want to clear his name. It was Angela. And they're like not willing to do that. So basically like, fuck you guys, I'm going home. And he leaves because his whole thing is he wants to clear Greg's name. He even goes to have a conversation with Angela, and he specifically says, I saw you at his funeral, but it looked like you were trying to avoid, people seeing him. And she's like, yeah, I don't think his family would really want, me around like that. And he's like, they might not blame you for his murder, but I do, because he firmly believes that Angela is the mole, even though, as we all know, it is Sandoval. But he basically says to her, if you want to do the right thing, you need to admit that you were the mole. You go to jail. James also goes to jail. You go to jail for being the mole. James goes to jail for killing Greg. But Greg gets stripes on his grave because he just wants to honor Greg's memory. Even though Greg was an asshole and he did a whole bunch of crazy stuff. I mean, he wasn't the mole. I mean, that part I get. So, it's just crazy. What else? I think I've talked about Keisha being scary because she's talking to Tommy. This about how they picked her up, how she was being questioned. She tells some about her conversation with Tasha and also with Proctor and everything. And she's just scared. She literally thinks that Tasha would snitch on her and Tommy to save herself. You can't be a best friend if that's what you think. I mean, being a best friend means you know where the bodies are buried. And at the end of the day, you protect your best friend, period. And you don't snitch on them to save yourself. She has no code. I mean, I just can't understand why she consistently gets terrified when anything happens. She's like, they're gonna, it's just aggravating. Tommy, of course, calms her down and say, hey, Tasha not like that. She not like that. She wouldn't snitch on us. We don't got nothing to worry about. The whole Kanan and Tariq story, I really don't even care about it much. Because it aggravates my soul, it makes my head hurt, it makes my ears hurt, it makes my eyes hurt. Tariq, of course, after talking with Tommy, and Tommy's like, your dad lies, but he ain't lying about this, and Tariq kind of is like, whatever. He goes into school. He sees some kids kind of messing with Raina, teasing her about her dad getting the death penalty, and Tariq reacts, and he, hems the boy up against the wall. He doesn't hit him, but he still shows him, if you keep, calm the fuck down. Leave people alone. He lets the boy go and he leaves. He goes eventually to hang out with Kanan, as we see. The reason I don't even like talking about it is because at this point, I get why they're doing it. Because they're just showing what happened when a kid is lost in the sauce. And he's lost in, the fact that his parents weren't really aware of him and his troubles, I guess. But I just still can't get past how much Tariq is like, basically, fuck my family. He's talking to Kanan and saying, I'm tripping because, my dad might get lethal injection. My mom is very upset. It's just so much going on in my family, and it's just, it's fucking crazy. And Kanan like, don't worry about that, and just gives him some of that lean stuff, the syrup with the juice. And ask him if he's ready to work. So I'm like, it's not what he even had a boy selling drugs. I mean, we come to find out that Kanan has convinced this boy to give him the code to his rich white friends' homes, and Kanan is breaking in, robbing the places. So he's working for Kanan, giving him elevator codes. I'm just like, Tariq, could you be more fucking stupid? I mean, it's just. Because eventually, if you do it too many times, and if they start asking people, well, who had the elevator code? Who has been in here? If you let him rob 5 families, and if those 5 families say the only other person here was our kid's friend Tariq, you think it ain't gonna get led back to you? It's just so, it's dumb, it's predictable, that they're just I'm just ready for the whole Tariq being an asshole idiot to be over. I mean, at this point, it's so, because he was stupid last season. He's more stupid this season. I'm tired of the whole Dre not telling people that Kanan is alive thing. I mean, I think the reason that this part of the story is stupid is because 50 Cent is involved. I think he thinks it's good television. I think he thinks it's entertaining, and it's not. It's aggravating. It's making the story bullshit. My thing is, I never wanted the story to be about Kanan. I was over it. I thought, Kanan's character being under that 1 season, maybe 2 seasons, was okay. It was something different. I'm mad that Kanan is still a character on Power. I'm mad that he is included in the storyline with Ghost's son. I think Kanan's story needs to end. I think there's enough things on the show to discuss and for it to go forward, and we don't need it to be Kanan. Just saying. Sorry, I got a little thrown off. They do show Dre who at the club again, and they just, at the club, storing through pills as if the fucking FBI wasn't just there 2 days ago. Dre, you're a fucking idiot. That's not what you do after a club gets searched. That's not what you do. You can bag the drugs up elsewhere. You don't bag the shit up at the club, bro. It's just stupid. And so when Julio comes in and he's like, hey, it's too much heat on us right now. We can't keep doing this. We got to hold off. Dre like, because of course he got to keep paying Kanan. As Kanan says, just to be alive. So he, tells the one girl who he trusts, hey, I know they said we're not going to do it, but keep doing it. Just keep it to yourself. It's still stupid. Oh yeah, I think I can't remember, damn, if I talked about it. If I did, I'm sorry. But the old man who's in jail and gets the phone and he calls and checks up on Tommy. I think I've said, I recorded this video 3 times, so if I'm repeating myself, please excuse me. But, the old man who's in prison with Ghost, and he got the phone and the damn ramen noodles, which I think was whatever. But, he finds out information on Ghost, and Tommy, he blackmails Ghost, and he's saying, I want you to give me 20 grand, I think, per week to keep this secret, or I'm going to tell the prosecutor what I know. Ghost did not do what he was supposed to do. He did not stay James St. Patrick. He did not act like he had no idea what the guy was talking about. He instantly kind of gave in and went to Ghost mode and was like, okay, I'll get it done or whatever. That guy's Tommy's daddy, but whatever. So we'll see how that plays out later on in the season. What I also noticed is, every time Proctor talks to Tommy, he gets drugs. I'm starting to wonder, is Proctor getting the drugs for his ex, or is he getting the drugs for himself? I don't know. Because every time he talks to Tommy, Tommy gives that man some drugs, and he says it's for his old lady. But I'm like, is you really on that stuff, Proctor, and we just don't know? Like, is you, slipping down a slippery slope? Who knows? Angela Ghost, visit Ghost. She want Ghost to confess. Ghost ain't gonna confess. It also shows desperation. I like how Ghost says, my lawyers ain't leaving, I don't trust you, Angela. That to me says a lot to her not having a hold on him anymore. Whereas before, he would try to just reason with her like, Angela, you know me. And he might want to talk to her in private, but I think he's at the point now where he knows she isn't on his side, so he's making sure to protect his own to protect his own self, basically. So he tells her, like, I know you set me up because I didn't do this. And she know because he said, you know I'm not that sloppy. You know I'm not sloppy. So that's how I know you set me up. And it's true. She should know that. But she's still so mad that she doesn't see through that. But she does offer him, hey, if you confess to it, I'll try to get you, off death row and you can just do whatever amount of time. And one lawyer is saying, let's talk about it, the black lawyer. And Proctor's like, don't even think about it. Proctor, who knows Ghost is innocent, doesn't want anything else besides a not guilty verdict. Whereas the black guy, like, we should get the best we can just so that we don't lose. He ain't seen Ghost. There's the scene where Ghost sees Raina's picture in the paper and she's crying. And that broke him as a father. And we see that he calls home and he talks to Raina. And she's just kind of like inconsolable as a child, thinking your dad is going to die. And you're just full of emotion. And even Tosh, you can see when she says, goodbye, James, how she's fed up with where he has them now. Because he put their family in this situation. So it's just a heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because he can't do shit about it. Like, he's really just trying to get his head wrapped around how he's even in this situation. Sandoval and Bailey have a conversation in the bar. And Sandoval lies and says, yeah, Greg also told me that Angela was the mole. Where he's just trying to gain Bailey's trust because he know that he's the goddamn mole. And he know the reason Greg is dead is because he goddamn gone did it. And so, Bailey entertains the conversation about them trying to work together to bring down Angela. And, but Bailey's like, we can't talk here. We can talk about it later. And when Sandoval walks away, we do see Bailey's looking into Sandoval because there was a file on him. So we don't know if he is just doing like a little simple lookup or if he's aware that Sandoval is basically involved. And there's also a scene where it's heartbreaking because, Greg is saying to Ghost is talking to Proctor and he's like, hey, the old white guy figured out who I am. I need you to send this money, have Tommy give him this money every week, blah, blah, blah. But he also then says, how much time would I get if I took Angela's deal? And it shows how broken he is at that point because his daughter is, heartbroken. It's just so much going on that he is completely out of his control. And he's just trying to avoid dying at this point. But, Proctor's like, don't even think about it. They do show they're in court because the lawyer, the black new lawyer, does get evidence showing that Greg did pull James over. He did put his hands on Ghost. That is how the DNA could have gotten on Greg's hands. They also bring up how Angela knew about this, and it's that the prosecutors purposely kept this information. I loved it. It was very predictable. Very, very fucking predictable. But still, it felt good to have a win for Ghost. That was a great thing. So, at the end of the day, the DNA evidence was thrown out. So now they have this. So Proctor did try to say, well, we should, he did put a motion forth to drop the charges. But the judge was like, no, we still know there's still the fingerprint and there's still the gun that they found. So at that point, they couldn't get him out. John does put Angela back on the case. Because why? I'm not sure. I don't know if it's at this point he just needs her there because he doesn't trust the other people or what. But, he does put her back on the case. Tommy had been tripping all episode about something. And I did not know what he was tripping about. They were getting a big shipment of drugs, I knew. But he kept trying to put something together. Come to find out, he was putting together like a underground poker night. And we then see that he was transporting himself in a trunk because he knew the FBI was watching him. So Tommy's smart. So he knew if they saw him leave and go elsewhere, they would follow him. And he had to be there for this drug run. So he put himself in the trunk. So with them never seeing him leave, they didn't follow the truck that he was in because they just saw them putting stuff in it. And they were like, no, let's wait for Egan. Not knowing Egan was in the goddamn truck in the first place. Tommy's a smart person. So the ending scene is Ghost talking to his new attorney. And the new attorney like, I see you. And Ghost is like, what? And Ghost, who's supposed to be James St. Patrick, just this run-of-the-mill club owner, is fully gangster. He's not this innocent person. And when he keeps saying, like, I see you. I see right through you. You're a product of who you are. He's like, what do you see? He was like, this. And touched the prison uniform. But what it really meant was, you can't play the character of James St. Patrick because you are a different person. Your whole persona is different. So it wasn't a I see you, I'm judging you of who you are. It was you're trying to be something different, but I can still see you because you put forth Ghost. That's what you do. And that was the ending of the episode. This is already 31 minutes. It's already too long, but that was the gist of everything that happened today. Whatever I didn't cover, you can watch it on the episode. But it was a great episode. Can't wait to the next episode. I can't wait for them to get Ghost out of jail some kind of way. But thanks for tuning in. I am Jay Lee. This is Jay Lee's Corner. If you have not subscribed, please do so. I hope you liked my interview, my review. Until next time, peace.